Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we're diving into a really radical philosophy about finding truth, one that basically says everything we're taught about searching for it is the very thing holding us back. It's called the pathless journey. And, it might just change how you look for answers to, well, everything.
So, let's start with this core idea, because it really challenges the way we think. What if truth isn't some destination you can finally arrive at? What if it's alive, dynamic, something that's constantly moving? More like a river than a monument you can just go and visit.
And here's the central paradox we're going to deconstruct today. What if the very act of looking for an answer is what hides it from you? It's a wild thought, right? To get our heads around this, we first have to imagine a world with absolutely no map. Okay, I want you to picture yourself on a huge, uncharted sea. There's no map, there are no stars to guide you, and there's no final destination you're trying to get to. This is the starting point for this whole philosophy, having a mind that's willing to be completely and utterly lost. I mean, it's just a natural instinct, isn't it? We're taught from day one to search, to strive, to follow a path that's supposed to lead us to our goal. We think that if we just put in enough effort and go in the right direction, we'll eventually find what we're looking for. But here's where this philosophy just flips the script. The very act of seeking implies that truth is something separate from you, a static object you can go find and then own. But if truth is alive, if it's a living thing, then trying to seek it is like trying to catch the wind in a net. It just doesn't work that way. So if there's no path, then what? Surely we can just follow someone who knows the way, right? A teacher, a guru, a leader of some kind. Well, let's dig into why this philosophy argues that's actually a really dangerous trap. This slide really lays out the two choices. On one side, you have following someone else, which is framed here as an act of blindness that actually creates fear. And on the other side, you've got becoming your own teacher, and that requires real self-reliance to find that inner light, demanding you look inward for answers, not outward. So here's the crucial point. No guru, no book, no organization can just hand you this light. You have to be both the one who teaches and the one who learns. The entire journey has to be an internal one. Okay, so if we can't follow a person, what about a system? A method, a guaranteed step-by-step guide to enlightenment, maybe meditation techniques or specific prayers or mental exercises. The argument here is that any method, if you just repeat it over and over, risks making your mind kind of dull and insensitive. It becomes mechanical, almost like a machine stuck in a loop, just performing actions without any real awareness or deep understanding. And in that moment, that break from the robotic pattern, that instant you see how pointless the repetition is, that's when a new, fresh understanding can burst through. It doesn't happen because of the method, it happens in spite of it. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? You can't use a method of confinement, like a cage of rules and repetition, and expect to achieve freedom. You have to start from a place of freedom, observing the world without some pre-packaged system telling you what to see. This brings us to our next big obstacle, and it's one that governs almost every single moment of our lives. The clock, the calendar, the very idea that there is a future. Think about it. We're constantly trying to become something else. More patient, more enlightened, more successful, you name it. This philosophy argues that this constant striving, this gap between who you are right now and who you hope you will be someday, that's the real source of all our inner conflict and sadness. Now, this is such a powerful statement. It's saying that change isn't some gradual process that you stretch out over time. No, it's an instant perception, a sudden revolution in how you see things that can only happen right here in the absolute present moment. Tomorrow is just an idea. So all of this leads us to the most profound and maybe the most difficult part of this whole journey. Looking at yourself without any judgment, without creating any division. This is where we get to the core practice of this philosophy, something called choiceless awareness. It's not about analyzing your thoughts or fighting with them. It's about simply seeing them, just as they are, without a separate you standing off to the side and passing judgment. Let this one sink in for a second. We usually say, I am angry, right? Which creates a split between the I who is observing and the anger that's being observed. This philosophy suggests a radical shift, realizing that the observer is the anger. You're not just experiencing anger. In that moment, you are the anger. There's no separation.
And in that complete, total realization, the internal battle just stops. The fight with your own reflection is over because you finally see that the reflection is you. There's nothing left to fight.
So after dismantling the path, the leader, the method, and the divided self, what's left? What happens when the search finally, truly stops?
What's left is stillness. When the mind is no longer chasing an answer, no longer scrambling to solve a problem.
When it's no longer trying to become something it isn't, and it can just rest completely in what is.
Well, that's when the truth arrives. Uninvited, unsought. It's described as a flame igniting from within, born not from a ton of effort, but from absolute creative stillness.
And that leaves us with this final, incredibly empowering thought. This journey without a path doesn't lead to some destination that someone else gives you. No, it leads you right back to your own inner clarity, revealing that the answer, the light, and the teacher, they were all right there, inside you, all along.